Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 84 of the Sitcast, aka the Siblings in Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Noah, joined by my buddies slash co-hosts. Oh, no. Actually, wait. I'm joined by nobody. That's all right. In theme with the high seas and piracy, I've stolen the show. I have taken it. And in that theme of piracy, it'll be bare bones. There will be no intro. There will be no fanfares. It'll just be me. No. We can get into it a little bit later on the next pod, which will have the siblings back, Justin and Thomas. Donnie did take a step away, not leaving the pod at all, but doing the school thing. So Donnie's going to go on hiatus for a little bit, and we'll get the U.S. Nationals recap from Thomas and Justin when they join us back next week. So just this week, I'm doing kind of like a stand-in, little market update. We can talk a little bit about high seas, some other things as well, and maybe scratch the surface of the meta right at the end, who's going to win. But just going to kind of try and keep it to about 30 minutes of really unedited fun. So hopefully nothing crazy happens. It won't. I may stumble a bit, but that's just because it's only me. So lock in, buckle up. Let's jump into high seas. The idea of high seas coming, the three new heroes, U.S. Nationals. If you haven't had a chance, Bigmacz put out a really good video. If I can remember, I will link it in the description about kind of what to expect at U.S. Nationals. Not really what to expect, but more so how to prepare for U.S. Nationals or a FAB event. But really talking about the juxtaposition of the real life and the card aspect, that you can't let either one. Well, you can let the real life absorb the cards, but then why did you go to a card tournament in Vegas? But you get the drift. Like, the balance between those two and really making sure that you're enjoying the city, you're taking care of yourself. It is a wonderful listen. I mean, Peter is one of the nicest dudes, if not the nicest dude I've ever met in this world. So go show them some love. Obviously, they're a crew of amazing people. And that video is really sound advice, I think, for anybody trying to play the game at a competitive level, both for mental health and for physical health as well. So without further ado, we are going to jump into the market minute, or the market segment, or whatever you'd like to call this. Do a little Stackswell style. I've got the TCG in the background. You can see we're going to talk about a whole range of topics. Before I move my camera off the screen, get on out of here. I just wanted to say we do have our affiliate links. They will be posted. So if any of these cards pique your interest, hopefully not boxes of Flesh and Blood at this current price range, and we'll talk about that. Go ahead and use the affiliate links. They cost you nothing. You just click the link and you will give us 3%, a small kickback, and support the pod if you'd like. We would, we highly appreciate anybody that even takes the time to attempt to use the code. So thank you so much for that as well, to patrons and to followers and listeners out there. Like, seriously, it's great. So much love. I wish I could have been in Vegas with the rest of them, but sadly they called me back to work, even though I played hooky today. So, I mean, I guess I'm the real winner, loser. Either way, enough of me. I'm going to stop yapping. Let me, get myself out of here. And let's get intimate with the market here, guys. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent. And this is where the unedited part really comes in. But let's talk about high seas and how we got here, okay? Some of you guys might not follow this. Some of you might not care. I know Bigmacz has put out videos. I believe Righteous Gaming has put out videos. These are all amazing people in the market. Fluke and Box has probably put out videos. Obviously, Rudy's put out videos as well. That's Alpha Investments for anybody who doesn't know or want to know, but there's a lot of talk in the market. Stackswell, Sloop, all sorts of people kind of jumping on this. I mean, everybody. It's hard to ignore, I guess, the elephant in the room, especially with this set, and it comes off of the back of Hunted, which was another very pressed set. Now, I think the key difference is that Hunted has less. I don't want to say less playability. There's probably a lot of Cinders out there, and I'm not the most well-metaversed, but let's just call it what it is. Less play hype right now, I guess, is what it is. So the way that Fab has sort of created these sets since the Fab 2.0, and it really, it tried to start with Dusk Till Dawn, and, future sets right afterwards. I'm drawing a blank. Heavy Hitters, Bright Lights, things like that. But think about the timeline, okay? We're not going to spend too much time on this, but think about the timeline. If collectors, if people like Rudy, not singling him out, I mean, there are many people who are like Rudy. We're talking if content creators, stores alike, if they were unhappy with Monarch and the idea of the oversaturation of product, because yes, it is a competitive card game. Yes, they should be available. But once you have the cards, you see what I'm saying? There's no real incentive. And so Fab was stuck between a card game that is very good, okay, in terms of its mechanics and its breakdowns and its competitive edge. And people are going to, attack me on this and say, well, cards have been expensive, forever. So, like, they could sell boxes of Arcane Rising for those Command and Conquers and yada, 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 and, Art of Wars before the bans. And it's right. Just let me get through the whole point. But stores have to take the risk of stocking the product. And in a competitive card game where there's a very few high-value cards and this and that, it really runs off the back of new players. So new players need to come in, like the game, buy the Command and Conquers and those things, and then, kind of turn over the boxes slowly. If there are no players coming in, to the game, if there's an oversaturation of product, if the entry's a little weird, if it's too steep, what I'm saying? Like, there's a ton of factors that come into play. But there was really no drive. Once the cards were out there, there was no collector drive, and Monarch was extremely overprinted. And so Flesh and Blood is new. They're trying to say, okay, well, we don't want to be necessarily like Pokemon, even though we can make the argument that we're in, like, release waves, just kind of like Pokemon is. But it's definitely not that bad, just because in terms of popularity. But they needed to fix something. So here comes Fab 2.0, where they really try and lock in. Every set's going to be a limited set, so every set has draftability, right? That's one way that they initially changed it. They said, hey, every set going forward will have limited play. Boom. That already increases playability, increases new player retention, right? So you see how they're trying to build it from the ground up. So they need the new product to pop in a way that a new player is going to want to come in and buy boxes that will reinvigorate LGSs to go buy product, to then sell that product to those wanting to come into the game, right? It's a feedback loop. Now, the problem is when you have such price hikes like this, and we're getting to the point, when you have such price hikes like this from pre-sale prices, in the sense of Pokemon, this is Pokemon level hype right now. You have tons of LGSs that are jumping back on it, and Rudy had put a video about this as well. Hey, suddenly everybody wants to order the product that they've never, ordered before. Now, I would say a good majority of the stores are probably places that want to or currently have a fab scene, this and that. They are repeat orders. They've been running local fab scenes. There are probably some that have never ordered fab, just like Rudy had pointed out, that have now jumped on the train because it can be sold. Okay, not that they can run an event, not that they can do X, Y, and Z, but because of how marketable it is now, right? It is a limited. So LSS has to respond. I mean, they can't just say, hey, no, we don't want new stores to pop up and have the product. Some might be trying to get the Flesh and Blood rolling. They might see this as a way of saying, okay, well, let's see if I can generate some interest with this. But there's probably some out there who are just saying, hey, this is free real estate. I'm just going to gobble this up because whether or not I run events, this is free money. I can't necessarily fault them, even though I do, but it has caused as cutbacks, price hikes, whatever you want to call it. And I'm sure there's tariffs and supply and demand and other things that come into it as well as LSS not wanting to make that same Monarch mistake. And so to make a long story short, I think that this is I don't want to say they're a victim of their own success. I think that they are trying their best to figure out how marketable of a set can they put out and generate how much hype, and then how much can they print for that hype so that they really feed out there into all the people wanting to get the product, but not oversaturate it to where it instantly crashes because then everybody has it and they're like, oh no, and so I think it's a slippery slope. I think it's a time over time fix. And I don't think they're doing a bad job about it, but the next set needs to show some kind of improvement. It's not about making the money off of this stuff, and I don't ever sell sealed product. I open everything I buy. I buy Dynasty. If I buy it low, I open it. I open it on the channel. I open the packs. I rarely will ever sell sealed product because to me the joy is in opening it. And that's why I open it. I open it because I think it's the most fun thing to do, is to crack a pack, and it's a pure surprise. So I'm like, the high seas I got, the little bit that I got, I'm opening it. There's one case I'm selling to Donnie, actually, because he was unable to get into the pre-release, and I'm selling it for $400. So I'm going to be completely open about that. And like, that just, it's not about the money, and it shouldn't be. Now, there are those out there that are taking advantage of this, and I think that's at a conflict. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and then we're going to jump into all the cards. So I still think there are quite a number of boxes out there, okay? There are just tons of boxes out there. I don't think we're getting less boxes overall. In fact, I think we're probably getting more. We need to wait for the numbers to come out. More of an initial print run than hunted. But more people ordered it, if that makes sense, right? So more people wanted more of this because they saw what happened to hunted, and more stores jumped on because they either jumped on hunted or saw the tail end of hunted and now have seen what's going on. All right, and this is all up for debate. I'm not saying it's the end all be all. I'm just throwing a 2 cents out there, and it seems, plausible. Okay, so don't jump on me. Like, we could have a civil debate about this as well. It's not my word is law type thing, but this kind of is how I feel it going, right? And now we're here at high seas, and lots of collectability. There's lots of chases, things like that. The treasure packs are cool because they can also be sold separate from the box. The cold foils in there. So there's a little bit of everything, right? As well as the 1 in 1,000 and the chases that some people may know about and some people may not know about, and might just want to, like I said, take advantage of the sealed product. But stores should be able to open this and sell the Majestics and all of the things, and there will be tons of cards pouring in after release day. So when we look through these initial prices, when we look at the singles, the pre-sale prices, I promise you, don't panic. People are bargaining in the Purple Discord, on Marketplace, everywhere. This is an amazing community. You will be able to find these cards. It's not, yeah, they might feel scarce, but I promise, we should be able to work this together as a community, and get cards out there. But there will be tons of people opening the cards and selling the Majestics and things like that. So I'm assuming that's what LSS was kind of hoping would happen, even with like less allocations overall, but more people necessarily getting it, right? So less to certain stores or less to the stores, but maybe more in general being put out than hunted is what we're hoping for when we see the print run numbers. And we'll just have to hope that most stores are going to just crack them open because there's so much value in just opening it that they don't have to worry about whether they need to sell it for this highly inflated sealed price. And then by opening it, they'll sell the singles, and the singles will be flooding in, So that's the goal. We'll see if that takes. And then with that and that big ramble and rant out of the way, let's just jump in. I mean, we've seen these selling for $700. I think it's actually pretty crazy. I wouldn't necessarily buy for $700. I mean, if you don't have product and you kind of just want to open some of it, it's a pretty steep price. I'd kind of wait for release to go out and see what happens, see if most people start dumping. Stores can't legally sell. This is all pre-sale, right? So try not to jump on these prices, guys, these 164s, things like that. Let the heat map cool down, okay? Taking a look at these singles, don't get crazy. The really rare ones, yes, are going to be your legendary cold foils, your extended art cold foil of the big Majestics. Obviously, these 1 in 1,000, each one of these is only 1 in 1,000, as well as, the really rare chases, right? But they're going to be borderline priceless, some of those. Things like the Golden Cog and these Gold Kiss Rums, trust me, they will go down in time. Nobody has their stock yet. Most people haven't even gotten their pre-order, so just take a deep breath. I know if you want it in time for U.S. Nationals, you're paying the price. It is what it is. But for everybody else that's just wanting to play or get a taste here and there or singles, I promise you, take your time. Big thing too, this card, Riches of Triple Donnie, is going to be a problem. Let's just face it, it's a generic fable. Forever, this will have to be considered in both the design of the game and in the marketability of the game, and for collectors and players out there. So this is a highly sought after. You need to find a way to trade for this or get this in time. Let it come down. Cold foils will probably be $400 to $500 first week. They'll probably round out about 350, maybe 400. It's really hard to say, right? Plague Hive got as high as 300, and it's pretty playable. This thing is insanely playable, and a very hard to find set. So Cold Foil could hit 500-600. It really just depends on how playable it is, and how many people really want to collect it. But just hang tight on this card. If you want it in cold foil, rainbow foil, you should be able to get it relatively light of soul price or a little higher. I would say probably no more than 200 at a top end, which is actually pretty crazy for rainbow foil Fable. Looks like Armory Deck Gravy Bones is starting to go down as people have scalped them. I hope they haven't scalped them, but like some people probably have, from MSRP and then put them up here. I was unable to get any to just set aside. They were all sold out at the LGS. In fact, there was one left, but somebody had bought it before I went to buy things at the end of the day. So I think there will be a kind of cap on this that hopefully won't go higher than like 65 or whatever, which, isn't too bad. But hopefully more of these get generated. This is always such a tragic event when there's things in the Armory deck that need to be in the deck, and then it's just hard to find the Armory deck. Stalagmite continues to be on the heat map. I guess Jarl does get a little bit better. Maybe some Florians that don't want to play because Germinate's ban now turn to Jarl, and they really like how the ice interaction kind of, plays. Maybe it's into the newer heroes that kind of the ice tax is not good for some of them, which it probably is pretty annoying for quite a few of the newer heroes. But nonetheless, Eisenloft continues to be, steeply priced. It's a great shield, and it's from a set that's not being open right now. So you kind of have to pay the nobody's opening it tax, right? So there's just not a lot of coming back onto the market, as you can tell by just looking at the size of people selling on TCG Player. And that's another thing that I kind of do when I evaluate cards is not necessarily, it's super cheap, but it might be cheap now, but how many of them are there on the market, right? Like if something clicked and they vanished, right? How accessible would it be, and how readily accessible would it be? Or would you be hunting them down in the purple Discord? Granted, again, it's a great community. If you want anything, you can find it, and for a value price too. So I just, in initially evaluating cards, is something to take a look at. Looks like soup ups are flying off the shelves. There's no blue promos, and when taking a look at the red promos, they are going as well. The playability with this into Puffin, I believe, with the cogs is has to be what's doing this. Because if an item's been destroyed this turn, which they can start your turn and get destroyed because they'll have no steam counters. Or any item for that matter, it's going to get go again. But you can also galvanize and destroy a cog that will get destroyed for a free 4 block, right? So this, like with the cog generation being so easy to do once you get going in some cases or with some cards, this is a free 0 for 4 block and Puffin. As well as a 0 for 4 go again, right? And then in blue, it's a 0 for 2 or a 0 for 4 blocks. So, it's another Sync Blow. I don't know. It's pretty good. So these two are popping up just to keep your eye on that. It's the only thing I can think of. I'm not the big brain when it comes to the card play, so don't quote me on it. Pulsewave Harpoon is something I just constantly keep in contact with. It's from Dynasty. It's got limited listings. It's probably one of the greatest mech cards ever created. It does have the boost attached to it, so boost cards maybe not in Puffin, but always keep your eye on Pulsewave Harpoon. If you ever plan on playing mech, you need to have a play set and get it when it's on like a downhill slope. In terms of pricing, New Horizons just keeping in line with the pricing. Had a little bit of a dip from its highs, so maybe some of the initial hype coming down, or Marlin needs to have some kind of splash to make it pop. If Marlin top 8s, his card goes up. If it's being used, it may not solidify into a winning list until after Azalea gets banned. If people are trying some Death Dealer things, and maybe the Death Dealer goes for New Horizons, but the other one wouldn't. So hard to say. Flick Knives continues to amaze me that it stayed this high for this long. This is the real deal. Outsiders is not an easy set to find, along with Dynasty, so this continues to be a prime card. There's so many assassins and ninjas and in the meta using it, from Marionette to Slippy potentially, I mean, to just to Ira, I don't know. I mean, anybody with that tag can use it. They're versatile. You can buy them back in some cases. It's pretty good. Can you buy this back? Maybe you can't buy this back. Don't quote me on that. You probably can't buy this back. That'd be crazy. Let's take a look at Codex as part of the reprints. So it looks like they're slightly played. This is slowly going down. I think people wish it would have gone down faster. They see that it's legendary. I've seen quite a few of these pulled. This might be legendary, but the amount that are on here already in pre-sale, right, and this is legendary, gives me great hope that this should hopefully draw the price down to a $40 or $50 range for this particular book. Once the market starts getting flooded, you'll see. Maybe even lower. But I think this one will still keep its sort of hype, maybe kind of go to 60, 65 in terms of non-rainbow foil. Rainbow foil will probably drop down to about 100 or so. And I think that this one's just probably more overall aesthetically pleasing. I'm not trying to say that anybody that likes the new Codex is, like there's something wrong with you. There's not. I think that both Codexes are equally cool. I just think that this will be the opposite of the Command and Conquer, and that this Codex will probably retain a little bit more value than this one. But we'll see. There also might be just more of these in circulation, and that's why it ends up driving the price down, less than the aestheticism. Crown of Dominion just continues to go through the roof. I think this is like also speculations and then just people taking them to drive it up. Wait and see how needed this is going to be, if there's ways around it. The headpiece doesn't block. Yes, everybody wants gold. Starting with gold's amazing, but I don't know. Regicide's a hell of a card, and if everybody's floating around with gold, I think it would be absolutely hilarious for an Arachne to just Regicide you. So enjoy that. Call to the Grave stays at around 28. Eventually it'll drop, I think, with more armory decks being opened. I think second wave Rosetta came out. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I feel like we've seen some effects of some Rosetta second wave coming out. Maybe not. Maybe it's on its way along with the second wave of Hunted, which will be just in time when people can't get high Cs. So it's aptly timed. Like I said, I think they know what they're doing. They're just trying to figure out the printing qualities or quantities. But Call to the Grave continues to be looked at if Gravy Bones uses it, if Gravy Bones is a force to be reckoned with. It is a blue go-again card that activates Gravy Bones, and it also puts a card in graveyard. So, it'll probably be played. So, I think it goes down probably to like 20 as more product just gets opened up in terms of armory decks, things like that. More of these come out in the wild. We might see it drop a little bit. Really just depends on Rosetta, though, since it's out of the previous set. This is more of a perfect time to start taking a look at these cards. Acilio is still in the mix, and so I know it's keeping the card up. Just if you were an Aurora player, if you were somebody who kind of wanted to snatch these up, they have come down from their obscene price over time. I think they'll get lower. If Acilio is a powerhouse, it'll eventually cap out. I know there's not very many, listings floating around of these, but if you do want one of these, you just kind of over the next few weeks watch this and see if it starts to trend down a little bit. It really just depends on Acilio's playability. He's the only one using it right now, so people might sell up and then move on, in which you can kind of get these for low and then hold them for if you want to play Aurora. Same thing with Germinate. These will eventually crash down. Now that it's banned, you'll be able to get these for pretty cheap and then roll back into Germinate when it comes out. Well, when it comes back. Retrace the Path, just keeping a look at Katsu. It really just depends. He might be back at Nationals. He's a dark horse for me. It's kind of what I'm getting at. I keep stumbling and trying to say that, but he's got potential to win. I would never put it past Katsu. I just don't know. We'll have to see the Nats results, but we could see another spike in Katsu cards. Just look up Dishonor in line with this. Yeah. We got a decent amount of Dishonor. So we could see another price hike. It really just depends if Katsu has a big splash. But with numbers like this, if you do want to play Katsu, I think that there might be a influx of Syndra that move to Katsu if one play, or vice versa if one plays better. and they can't make this work. If it's just not enough with one bonds back for Katsu. So be on the lookout for that. Those are definitely two prevalent cards in both of those game plans for Katsu, Dishonor, and Retrace to Pass. So they will definitely be hot watches, along with Gust Wave of the Second Wind and Ancestral Empowerment. Schism, just keep an eye on it. Lots of marionettes floating around. Lots of Slippy. Lots of assassin players. Maybe Marionette wants to go back into Slippy. Maybe Slippy actually ends up being a better pick with the new heroes in the pool. Just trying to keep an eye on this. I think this card is kind of criminally low for what it does. I know it's only tied to one hero, but when you give a hero a Marvel, I think that hero will not only reign supreme, but reign pretty hard. So definitely be on the lookout for this and pick it up on the low, especially before any type of weird price hikes. You could also just kind of wait, see if a second print of Hunted kind of brings it down as well with any of these Hunted cards that we're going to take a look at. So Quick Dodge Flexor is the same thing. 120 Rainbow Foil, 185. I mean, this thing has kept its value crazily, and I just think with a second print it might go down, but you'd always want to keep your eye on it. Daggers have come down a little bit from that $70 price they were selling at earlier, which is pretty crazy, as they've started to kind of come back down from their insane atmosphere prices. But again, until we get that second reprint of Hunted, we're kind of floating around here. I just think that once you get two, you're kind of done type thing. So, in theory, as long as somebody's opening Hunted, they should continue to trickle down, trying to get those. They need to be, at most $10 to $15, if that really. I think it's crazy that this is the most expensive dagger we've seen, and at just straight Majestic too. Three of a Kind, don't know if it's going to get played again. I think this is more for the Death Dealer. Azalea Marlin, and if Death Dealer goes, which Azalea is another pick that could just win U.S. Nationals, since Azalea has always been good and gains quite a bit from the new set, just haphazardly, or I guess indirectly. There's some pretty cool Ranger cards and arrows, so who's to say that Swift Shot doesn't just propel Azalea? So we'll have to see what comes from that as well. Azalea, another dark horse to take the whole thing. So Rolling Fissure, keeping this on here for Guardians. I think $10 is pretty fair right now. It's stabilized, around this price for quite a bit now. I don't necessarily think it'll have a bigger spike unless somebody from Guardian Pack just absolutely has to have it and is running away with everything. So definitely just want to keep your eye on this if you're a Guardian player or potentially want to play Guardian at all. And then the next cards are pretty much just Brute. This is the same thing I've been kind of echoing as we're going to kind of wrap this up. I've been just echoing the sentiment of taking a look at Brute cards and making sure that if you ever have interest in playing Brute, that you're looking at some of the Scab Skins, the Apex Bone Breaker, Scowling Flesh Bag. Some of these are a pretty good time to buy. I mean, they all trend downward. They've all been kind of here at the same price for a little bit. A Brute set would spike any one of these cards, and then you're potentially looking at paying, maybe twice as much, or at least, 50 to 60% more than currently, at least for the Scabs. There's quite a few Scabs on here at this price range. So I just pick them up. You could probably haggle somebody to 30, 35 for these. That's what I'm trying to say. Right now is a really good time to kind of take a look at these. Same thing with Swing Big. Everfest isn't being opened up right now quite a bit. But if you need Swing Bigs, and let's say Brute just magically gets a set coming out, I mean, there's one page of these things. They're going to start getting wild again. There are not that many Swing Bigs on there. Rock Marvel's kind of a troll. If they ever make this good, it's going to be the most wild thing ever. At just the mention of it, it went up in search. So take this with a grain of salt. You don't have to buy a Marvel Rock, but it is pretty crazy that it stayed, so high and people continue to buy it. And I think it's just a speculation. This is the fantasy happening of maybe one day my Marvel Rock will be real. So. But that's what I have. So I'll go ahead and snap myself back on and rejoin you guys for this. But that was a little walk down the market currently. Buy your singles, in the places that I said that they were kind of low. Use the affiliate link. if you'd like. It's not a forceful. Other than that, if you're out there and you're watching this while you're at Nationals, because I'm going to upload this, like I said, it's unedited. It's just ready to go. So if you're watching this at Nationals, have a great time. Enjoy yourself. Seriously, explore the city. It's more than just cards, but it's also just a good time. And you'll watch that video by Minmax, by Peter. Sound advice. You got to remember, you're in a place doing something that few people in the world may ever get to do. So I'm not saying feel guilty or whatever, but don't take it for granted. Like it's win, lose, whatever it may be, you're having a good time. You're supposed to be having a good time. So good luck out there to everybody playing in U.S. Nationals or side events or just exploring the city. Have a wonderful time. I love you all. And thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed catching up with just me this week because I stole the show. But if you did, subscribe or follow depending on where you found us to catch us again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves, and remember, we are all siblings in cardboard. And let me just tell you out there playing U.S. Nationals, okay? Let me tell you something. There's new cards floating around with new interactions and new ways to stack and all sorts of things and all this and that. Read the card. It'll explain the card, and just do what the card says. Do your triggers. Discard your cards. Take care.